Okay, so you want to own a bar. Find a corner spot, build a long counter, run a few taps down the rail, hang a TV with the game on, and watch people carry money to you every Friday night. And the business looks like a sure thing for one reason everybody already knows. The markup on alcohol is obscene. You buy a bottle of domestic beer for $1, you pour it for $6. You pour a well drink where the liquor inside costs you maybe 20 cents against $5 or $6 of sale. 80 cents of gross margin on the dollar. A grocery store dreams about 25. You're pulling 80, dozens of times an hour, every single night. So hold that beautiful number in your head and let me hand you a different one. In 2025, one American craft distillery after another filed for bankruptcy, including Westward Whiskey out of Oregon, one of the most respected craft names in the country. Bankruptcies hit U.S. spirit makers hard enough that analysts stopped calling it a rough patch and started calling it a structural shift in the market, because Americans are drinking less, and those are the producers, the people sitting one rung above you on the same ladder you're about to climb onto. So by the time we're done here, you're going to understand where those 80 cents actually disappear between the rail and your bank account, why 1 out of every 5 bottles you buy will never turn into $1 and you won't even see it leave, why a single night of the week quietly decides whether you survive the other 6, and why the real money in a bar isn't in the glass you think it's in. There's a number near the end that reframes the whole thing, and it isn't the one you'd guess. Let's start with what it costs to get in the door. Here's the first place people trip, and they trip because the expensive part isn't the part you're looking at. You picture the cost as the bar itself, the counter, the coolers, the tap system, the cases of glassware. That's real money, sure, but the genuine budget killer is a piece of paper, the liquor license. And here's where it gets strange, because what that paper costs depends entirely on which state you're standing in, and the spread is enormous. In some places, a license is a routine fee. The national average runs somewhere between $1,000 and $3,000, and you fill out the forms and wait. In other places, that same license is a scarce asset. The government only ever issued so many, so to get one, you have to buy someone else's on the open market, and it trades for tens of thousands, sometimes into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not because the paper got better, because there are only so many of them, and the only way in is to buy one off a guy who's getting out. In parts of California and New Jersey, a full liquor license has sold for more than the entire build-out of the bar it goes into. And buying it is only half of it, because you also have to wait. 5-6 months of processing, hours of paperwork, laws that change from state to state and city to city so completely that in one town you can't open within a certain distance of a school or a church, and in another you can't open near an existing bar because of quota and density rules. You can find the perfect corner and discover the state will never let you pour a drink on it. Then the build-out, and this is not paint and stools. A room where 100 people are going to drink and jostle until 2 in the morning needs commercial plumbing, real ventilation, bathrooms up to code, a fire suppression system, flooring that won't turn the first spilled drink into a slip-and-fall lawsuit. Then the landlord's deposit. First month, last month, security. Then insurance, and insuring a bar is expensive, because you're inviting the public to get drunk under your roof, and a certain number of them are going to do something that becomes your problem. Dram shop laws in most states mean if you overserve someone and they hurt somebody on the way home, the liability can land on you. Stack it all together. The license, the build-out, the equipment, the deposit, the insurance, the opening inventory, and a modest bar asks anywhere from a couple $100,000 to well past $500,000 just to unlock the door. And here's the thing that quietly breaks the optimists. On opening night, the room is empty. A bar doesn't turn profitable the first evening. It takes months, often a year to 18 months, before people build the habit of coming to your place specifically. And every one of those months, rent arrives on schedule, your bartender's pay arrives on schedule, the distributor's invoice arrives on schedule, whether the regulars have found you yet or not. All right, say you cleared all of it. The doors are open, the taps are flowing, the license is framed on the wall. Now let's talk about what you're actually selling, because this is where it gets interesting. Go back to that gorgeous number. A shot of liquor costs you somewhere between 18 and 24 cents on every dollar of sale. The industry calls it pour cost. The average bar runs at around 20%, which means every dollar of booze revenue costs you about 20 cents and leaves 80 cents of gross margin. A glass of wine, a cocktail, a pint of beer, each one carries a markup a grocery store can only fantasize about. It's the prettiest number in the business, and it's completely fake. Here's the easiest way to see why. Imagine the bar doesn't sell drinks at all. Imagine it just buys bottles, and a chunk of them vanish, don't get sold, evaporate. Because that is exactly what happens every single shift. And it has a polite industry word: variance. The gap between what should have been poured, according to the tickets, and what actually left the bottles. And here's the number that ought to stop you cold. Analysts who measured average variance across surveyed bars landed around 20%. 20. That means out of every 5 bottles you buy, one will break, spill, get over-poured, get handed across the rail free to the bartender's buddy, or simply get stolen, and never turn into a cent of revenue. And by some measures, variance runs as high as 25 to 30%. Now sit with what that does to your beautiful margin. You were counting on 80 cents of profit per drink, but if every 5th bottle brings in nothing while costing you full price, your real margin collapses. And it collapses quietly, because variance isn't a fire or a robbery, it's drop by drop. A little heavy on the pour here, a spill there, a round comp to friends, a tap left dripping overnight. None of it is visible on its own. All of it together can drain tens of thousands of dollars a year out of you. And according to the National Restaurant Association, roughly 75% of that shrinkage isn't breakage or spillage at all. It's theft. And here's the cruelty of this business. The profit in a bar lives in the glass, which means the theft in a bar lives there too. An owner who watches the kitchen like a hawk and trusts the bar on faith has left the vault door standing wide open. A bartender pouring doubles for singles to his friends costs you more than an employee skimming the register, because the margin on liquor is so high that every dollar lost there hurts worse than a dollar lost anywhere else in the building. So if the product disappears drop by drop and the margin is fake, where does the money actually come from? From a rhythm in the week so lopsided that once you see it, you'll never look at a bar the same way again. Here's the honest arithmetic of a bar, and it's sobering. The average net margin on a normal bar runs somewhere between 7 and 12%. Not the 80 you were counting on the glass. 7 to 12. At the end of the year, after those 80 cents get chewed down by rent, wages, the license, insurance, utilities, variance, and everything else. A neighborhood pub, the corner place in your hometown, holds that same 7 to 15%. And a bar that also serves food drops to 7 to 10, because food itself carries a miserable 3 to 5% margin and drags the blended number down. And nearly all of that thin profit gets earned in a handful of hours a week. People go out Friday and Saturday night, Thursday if you're lucky. Every other stretch, Tuesday at 3 in the afternoon, Wednesday, Sunday morning, the room is dead, and the rent, the wages, the lights, and the coolers run exactly the same as they do on a packed Friday. You're paying for peak capacity all week to serve a rush that shows up for a few hours. Which is why a packed bar on a Saturday night tells you almost nothing about whether the business is healthy. The owners who understand the rhythm bank the Friday surplus to carry them through the dead weekdays. The owners who go under look at the Friday register, decide that's the normal state of the world, and take a bigger draw, or hire an extra bartender, or sign a lease on a bigger space, as if that torrent were going to keep flowing on a Tuesday in July when nobody's thinking about a drink. And now lay that already thin rhythm on top of what's happening in the market right now. We opened with a wave of distillery bankruptcies, but the pressure isn't only coming from above. Labor costs keep climbing. 19 states raised their minimum wage on the same January morning in 2026. And here's the big one. Americans are simply drinking less. Categories like American whiskey and craft spirits are under sustained pressure. Falling consumption, record inventory sitting in warehouses. The customer who used to order 3 cocktails now orders 1, or stays home, because a bottle from the liquor store competes with your bar directly. They can drink at home for a few bucks, or come to you where the same pour costs 5 times as much. So a bar sits squeezed between rising costs that never ask your permission and revenue that's stopped growing. And that squeeze, right there, is the whole story of the business at this exact moment. Now the costs nobody photographs. Rent in a bar isn't just another line item. It's a sentence signed on a single afternoon for 5 years. You put your name on a 60-month lease inside a calculation that maybe never worked to begin with. And when the rent climbs at renewal, you don't get a vote. It just shows up. Then payroll. A bar can't run without someone behind the rail. And bartenders don't just have to be paid, they have to be watched. And the watching never stops. Because every unwatched shift is variance draining out of your margin. Add to that hiring. The bar industry runs one of the highest turnover rates in the whole economy. So you're effectively retraining the rail every year, bleeding time and money just to stand still. Then seasonality, which catches people off guard. Summer patios, the winter lull, sports seasons that pack the room and then empty it. If you toured a bar on a warm Friday in peak season when the place was jammed and built your whole annual projection off that one beautiful night, a Tuesday in January is going to hand you a very unpleasant education.
And on top of all of it, new fees and costs that land without warning. A jump in your liquor liability premium, a bump in licensing, a health inspection that finds something. Street prices on drinks sit flat, while every one of these costs marches upward. And that squeeze is exactly where first-time owners lose the thread. And now we get to the twist that reorganizes everything I've said so far.
Everything up to this point has treated a bar as a place that sells drinks. And if that were the whole story, a bar would be a decent, unremarkable little cash business with a thin margin and a brutal rhythm. But the real money in a bar isn't in the glass you're thinking of. Watch. Liquor carries a huge markup, yes, but it also lives under the biggest variance because it's the easiest thing to overpour, to steal, to bury inside a cocktail where the loss hides. Now look at wine. Wine turns into money per ounce cleaner than anything else behind the bar. Even if an expensive bottle carries a lower margin percentage than a cheap one, the dollar profit on it is higher. Wine takes less labor than a craft cocktail. You just pour it. And it has an exact cost per serving. A standard 750 milliliter bottle holds about 5 glasses, and you know the cost of each one to the penny. Fewer hands touch it, less variance. That's why a wine bar runs cleaner economics than a cocktail bar, for all the flash of the cocktail bar. And here's what takes it further. The real operators figured out that a bar doesn't make its money one drink at a time. It makes it on the speed the seat turns over. A bar doesn't sell booze. It sells access to a seat, a stool at the rail, a spot at a table, for a slice of time, in a room with only so many seats and only a handful of genuinely profitable hours in the week. An empty stool at 9 on a Saturday isn't a small disappointment you can make up on Tuesday. It's revenue gone forever. because that exact stool in that exact hour is never coming back. So the smart operator does the thing that looks counterintuitive. He doesn't chase the fanciest cocktail menu in town. He chases turnover and the margin hiding where nobody's looking, wine with an exact cost, happy hours that fill the dead time, beer taps with low variance, an atmosphere that gets people to order the second round, because that second round often carries more actual profit than everything else that night. A bar that perfects its cocktails and neglects everything else has left the only reliable profit sitting on the rail. That's the actual business. The pretty margin on the glass is real, but it's the raw material, not the prize. What you're really manufacturing is a stream you have to defend drop by drop against variance, fill during the dead hours, and turn over as fast as you can during the few golden nights that decide the entire year. Let's put a full year together and look at the two endings, because they're both completely ordinary and separated by a shockingly thin line. In the good version, you picked the right corner, where your crowd lives within a short walk. You hold variance on the low end, counting inventory every week, running poor discipline with jiggers, watching the rail as closely as the register. You filled the dead hours with happy hours and events. You built a wine list with clean margin instead of only flashy cocktails, and you banked the Friday surplus to carry the weekdays. Under those conditions, a tight, well-run bar holds that 10 to 12% net margin, and on real volume, that's a genuine living and, given a few years, a business you can sell or build on. And then the realistic version, where nothing dramatic happens at all, and that's the point. Variance drifts from the low end to the high end because you were watching the food instead of the rail, and now it's not 20% of bottles bringing in nothing, it's 28. A good bartender quits and the replacement overpours while he learns. People in your town are drinking less, like the rest of the country, ordering one cocktail where they used to order 3. The landlord raises the rent at renewal. A new fee lands. None of it is a catastrophe. Every piece of it is the ordinary weather of this business. But your net margin slides from 12% toward 3%, and then into a loss through the dead season. And the bar that's still packed every Friday, still feels like a success from the inside, is quietly losing money month after month. The gap between those two endings, on a single bar, can run well past $100,000 in a year. And almost none of that swing announces itself. No fire, no scandal, no dramatic bad day. Just a slightly higher variance, a slightly heavier rent, slightly fewer people drinking, and a competitor's banner going up across the street. All of it compounding quietly, month after month, until the number at the bottom of your spreadsheet looks nothing like the one they showed you. So before you sign, understand what you're actually buying. Not the counter, not the taps, not the crowd on a Friday night. You're buying a bet that you can defend 80 cents of every dollar from draining away drop by drop before it ever reaches you. Out of every 5 bottles, 1 disappears before you ever get to sell it. The only question is how many of the other 4 you keep in your hand.